Dear listener, if you leak myoglobin from your mouth while speaking, go to a doctor.
Please tell me you were recording.
Yes, I'm recording.
Excellent. Okay.
Hey neurons, welcome to a show about hot takes on theorycraft, to a neat new age neural net of neurodivergent neats. Truth is stranger than fiction, as we all well know, and who, Lord, are some of the points we encounter bizarre. Therefore, there ought to be something to them, right? Neurotyping is a personality matrix devised by Beatrice the Golden Witch, and you, us, everyone. Type a line of text and surrender your strange wisdom to the wired, for perhaps it is odd enough to pass the low bar of truth reality has erected in our collective basement. Welcome to the Neurotypeline. With me is Urcoy.
Hi, I'm Urcoy. I'm a new type or something.
No, wait, no, you go. I'm the guest.
No, guest goes first.
All right, fine.
End on my crown.
We've never done it that way, but sure.
I go by many names. Roman romantic, read me romantic, read me 45. All work, they're all sufficient. I am also here again, and soon, if they keep asking me to come, maybe I'll be on the show more than Tolgi has been.
It's a race to the finish line, the neurotype finish line. I am the archer's fast-talking craftsman and indestructible super god, your level 3 overseer, the firebrand with inner peace, Tarbuck to ransom. I am the clout chaser eternal. I am the only true Christian. I am the person who keeps acquiring names to add on to themselves.
I don't remember that one. The only true Christian, is that one new or just?
Yeah,
That's a new one.
I like that one.
I have called myself that on numerous occasions, but I brought it up at the end of the last episode, so that like it always gets a reaction whenever I say stuff like that.
The only true Christian. I think that's my favorite one so far.
Yeah, the only one that even comes close to that for me is I am also the leftist Jordan Peterson.
Did I just die? I think I just died. I think I just died and ascended.
Total silence.
I think my internet died. I hope Urcoy here. Oh, here we go.
Huh?
No?
Well, it'll show up on the recording.
Oh.
Hey.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
There we go.
Oh,
no, I'm really dead now. Now it just hit the. Now I'm back. Now I just got kicked. Now everything's a blur. Urcoy, you're gonna have a blast going through my ramblings from me disconnecting and reconnecting.
It'll be great.
Excellent. Okay.
I said something like, "What's next?" and then nobody said anything, and I was like,
Yeah, my laptop died for a bit.
Oh shit.
Okay. Everyone's loud, so it's like, who even hears?
Yeah, I'm Oro. Many have called me clairvoyant, but the future will prove them wrong.
Excellent.
That's another great. You guys are killing it today.
We try.
Or just obliterating that corpse.
Yeah. The aim of everyone's life should be to acquire epithets.
It worked for Daenerys Targaryen.
It really didn't.
Well, she's still one of the most popular characters, so I'm going to go ahead and say that it worked for her.
Yeah, right.
It was so effective that her actress had a brain hemorrhage and then was in the hospital trying to do rehabilitation to figure out what her own name was. And she was like, I know that there's something important that I'm supposed to do. Whatever it is, I have to come back to sanity. And so on that basis, she clawed her way back only to get the rest of her treatment in Game of Thrones. Because this was back in season 1, season 2, somewhere in there.
That's amazing. It's great.
Yeah. Her loyalty was repaid with betrayal. As all loyalty is.
Loss.
Upsetting.
How about this first bust?
Wait, I've been cutting in and out. Are we going to talk about the quick witteds?
Yes,
yeah.
we're going to do that right now.
Speaking of betrayal, someone who has yet to betray us, Exy. What the hell is a quick-witted written analysis?
So, is it just me, or when you click on the Google Doc, does it immediately open to halfway down the first page?
No.
No, that's just you, Tarbuck.
Okay, all right, because I want to send you a screenshot of what I look at every time I open it. I closed it and opened it again, and I got the exact same thing.
Huh.
Did you move it up before you clicked on it again?
Yes.
It might be because of the bullet points. I'm thinking. I have no idea though.
Possible. The header makes me think that this is part of a series.
I think Exy wanted other people to do those for their types, but they didn't.
That was communicated not at all.
Yeah, no, of course. I mean, other people have been doing type docs.
Of
Yeah.
course.
No one formatted it like that. Because this is a very blue column way of formatting it.
Dude, he puts, when I was making stuff with Exy, he would because we were writing some stuff about neurotypeline neurotyping before.
Neurotypeline.
And whenever he would format things, he wouldn't use bullet points or numbers. He would just use dashes. And it was the first time I'd ever seen anyone do that, and it really bothered the heck out of me, but I didn't know how to bring it up. So I just kind of like every time he made something with a dash, I didn't even want to touch it.
So there was a friend of mine who is really into different kinds of formatting. We joke periodically, and I think they're serious when they say that they're the most lexical person alive. And like, my chief example of this that you have just wrenched up in my memory is opening a document and seeing a bulleted list, then opening a different document on their computer and seeing an outline, like with tabs and stuff like that, and then opening a different document and seeing some kind of bulleted list, but some of the points had minuses or dashes, and some of them had pluses, and I could not figure out which
Pros and
was
cons.
what or what it means. Because it was about, like, it was reference notes for a tabletop RPG that we were developing.
Oh my God.
So what does that mean? What does that mean?
That's even more cursed than dashes, doing a plus instead of a bullet. Oh.
And then I scrolled down to the bottom and it got worse. There were also equals, presumably for a double dash.
Very brief interactions with this person, most lexical person alive, seems like it could be true.
Come on the show, you coward. All right.
Like, you gonna open that fresh can?
I opened it when I
was dead.
Right. You were dead. Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah, blink your ears and you miss it.
Blink your
Your
ears.
ears.
Yeah. But speaking of the formatting of this document, it's like a 7-page Neurodoc, which is respectable, but the spacing is absurd.
Actually,
There's
the
3
seventh
words per
page
page.
has nothing on it. It's just spacing.
Yeah.
Oh,
There's
God,
3 words
you're
per
right.
page. Yeah, on the 4th page, Exy goes, if you're tapped out by now, and I spent maybe a minute reading at this point, so this feels condescending. This sentence makes me angry.
Why is he talking about graphics and FPS?
Nobody
no.
reads these days. Oh, that.
Oh,
I like
yeah.
that.
No, I think that's an interesting metaphor for laterality.
Higher graphics but lower FPS.
Oh.
The way you resolve graphics, either make it quick and to the point it's sort of polygony, or
Gotcha.
you can get all the detailed stuff, but it takes longer, so you won't be able to give that quick-witted response. You'll think for a minute and then say some really obtuse joke that no one will ever get.
I like that.
Which to Exy is the amblest mode.
I'm gonna change my if fairly linear is 60 frames per second. What's very linear? Because I want to refer to myself as that number instead of very linear from now on.
All frames per second.
How about 90?
We'll say 90. I am 90 FPS.
I'm gonna go ahead and say that if you're all the way down at very linear, you're like you're coded in assembly, and you're like vector graphics as opposed to polygon graphics, and and also it's why not go with like the reference note A, you are 440 hertz.
We've switched the dynamic.
Yes.
We're not talking about music yet. That's later.
We'll get there.
Oh, God.
We'll get there.
Yeah, and I kind of like it stylistically because it's very much, hey, here's what's cool about quick-witteds.
Yeah.
I think that's
neat.
Here's
I mean-
the matrix gazing. Here's how you are funny in a social context. And yeah, honestly, if the type blocks were just, this is why you should want to be this thing, I think a lot less people would
Choose my type.
be so drawn to the types that Beatrice made sound cool at the start. It's on you to make your type sound cool.
I think you said earlier, you said something like the document sounds really condescending, but I think we can all agree that was very likely on purpose, right?
Oh yeah, no, of course.
Knowing who wrote it, yeah.
Yeah.
For my taste, it seems like it's taking the labels as perfectly accurate, the label names as perfectly accurate and for granted. Like
Yeah.
quick-witted must be quick of wit, and all the stereotypes about that, and also must gaze into the matrix. Let's reconstruct what that matrix must be so that we can justify the label. Which, like, that's a pretty categorical side type thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
but also there's some context missing here. Because I've had this talk with Axie about how, yeah, you can of course be, I don't know, like a very dumb quick-witted person who wouldn't come across as quick-witted at all. He completely acknowledges this. This is just, oh, here's a cool, neat thing that I can use to describe myself, so I'm going to really lean into it. Like, yes, matrix gazing sounds awesome. Here's what that means. Here's how you can do it. Quick-witted, you betcha. Yeah, so I don't think it's completely taking it for granted. It's just clinging on to all the nice little monikers that you could get. Yeah, and like there's some summary of my neurotyping doc, a bit of Beatrice's videos in general. It just draws from a lot of sources and simplifies them, distills them down, because as I said, this is 7 pages, but it's a very, very small amount of text.
Yes.
And I think it gives a decent summary. I mean, no great issues with this.
About 30% of the first page is just the first sentence.
It's just an image of Shinobu smiling smugly.
I don't even know what anime this is.
It's Monogatari.
You don't even know what anime that? Yeah, I can't.
You don't know what anime is?
Well, I hear it's a Japanese colloquialism. My highlight quote here is, I call it a matrix because according to Google, a matrix is a synonym for a network.
Yeah, this is again meant to be read as condescending.
I love it so much.
Also, like, I'm basically just in criticism mode because I was doing that.
Fair.
I was doing my notes and reading all of these articles and stuff last night while immediately after my anti-inflammatory wore off. I'm still reeling from having gotten a coof shot. So that's what I'm doing.
Shot.
Yeah, a coof shot. I definitely needed the extra level up to my autism level. Like I was a level 3 before. Maybe I can be pushing 4 now.
Yeah.
Which is better for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, how do the different vaccines rank and how autistic they make you?
Oh boy.
Okay, no, we're not.
No, we're not doing that.
Yeah, okay. Criticism of this document. It doesn't do a lot of new things. It's really just summaries of stuff other people have said.
Yeah.
And I think that's fair because it's meant to, as it be kind of punchy, Poppy trying to sell this to people. And Beatrice's videos are long, and my doc is difficult to read. I will cop to that. So going like, hey, here's a quick read. This is a neurotype. Maybe you like it. Is a good idea. I think there's some value to this format.
There is this like theme of impressionism equals art anytime impressionism comes up that kind of rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah.
I don't really have anything more to add to that. I'm just saying, like, just calling it like I see it, you know.
Yeah, I remember having some trouble with that too in like episode 8 with Moncap.
Yeah.
Who would ever have an argument with Moncap? Everything he says is gospel.
No, not with Moncap, but in the Moncap episode.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Just in general.
Okay, but I want your opinions on that, because Exy goes into a quick bit about how center types find it difficult to type themselves because, well, you don't have like any really strong pole where you can say, oh, definitely that, don't even have to think about the axis anymore. Which is fair. That sounds like a reasonable explanation for that, but it doesn't explain why like everyone types themselves as an overseer first.
I mean,
still a center type.
Mine is the best corner of the center types.
Right.
That's why.
I don't know. I enjoy a good externalist.
I think it's just the vast amount of people in this community in that area, and also like that the abstract quadrant being like hyped up the way it was.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's like not much elaboration on the other 3 center types.
Yeah, Shadow Guardians. That was so much more unique than the mom type, the witty type, and the I am the popular kid type.
It's a
Shadow Guardian. I watch everyone else.
Yeah, but look, that's the types you need at like a party or in any area that experienced any kind of lighting. You need a room brightener and a shadow guardian. You need someone to bring the light and then someone to guard the shadow.
And you need someone to be snappy and somebody to be the ears. I don't know what I'm saying.
You need a guide through the lit up streets, and the dingy alleys.
I don't know what else I got on this. There was a funny story where I was playing a VR game, and EGAG was reading this document, and then Lovelace recorded that, or he was recording it, and it was like an MP3, and he took that and like layered a bunch of songs that I listened to on top of it, and it's like the uranium coffee experience.
Oh god.
I'm gonna link that. It's pretty good.
I was sent that the original recording at some point, which just EGAG reading this in a very silly voice.
Okay, I have an idea for a drink.
Yeah.
All right. You take some actual powdered uranium and you drop it into coffee, and you call it a dirty bomb.
I wonder what that would taste like.
Excellent.
I don't know.
I wonder if you can heat up coffee with uranium.
I mean,
I bet you can.
probably.
Yeah.
I wouldn't drink it, but it would be hot.
I would.
I would.
It would be hot.
This
both
very
ways.
slow decaying uranium. It doesn't have to be enriched uranium that you're using.
Yeah. Non-enriched uranium is also like highly toxic.
Yeah.
So
the cold
dirty
brew.
bomb
That's
still
the cold
works.
brew.
You can probably get into some inert state. That's probably possible. So if you only get like a mild radiation, but it doesn't get absorbed somewhere.
I'm imagining like a Russian guy in a submarine during the Cold War, and he just like goes to the fucking nuclear reactor and heats up his coffee by just setting it near it. Comes back in a few minutes.
My coffee feels a little heavy. That was a heavy water joke.
I don't know what that is.
I'm not gonna worry about it.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna laugh
don't
and
bother.
pretend I know it has something to do with nuclear reactors, obviously.
Yeah. I could explain it, but it's not really worth it.
There are many jokes we could explain.
Yeah. So it seems like we're tapped out on
here.
this Exy post. Do we want to move on to the Scroy post?
Scroy, general tendencies and media enjoyment. And it has two nice little neuro charts. one has the columns with the lexical green column, in this case blue. The colors are wrong in this, I don't know why, but that's...
I'm not going to...
Colors are arbitrary.
Hard lexicolumn is plot. Blue lexicolumn is characters. Yeah. Purple imp column is directing, and red imp column is visuals. These colors shut me up incredibly. And then for lateral and linear, the complete top half of the chart is setting, and the complete bottom half of the chart is pacing.
Mm-hmm. I feel like this is accurate as somebody who's in the dead center of the lateral half of the chart. I think that the setting part is accurate because I could not give less of a fuck about pacing unless it's really egregious. Like it has to drag like crazy, like the Snyder cut, in order for me to notice that it even has pacing. Like people say good things about pacing, people say bad things about pacing. I never know what the fuck they're talking about because I'm just paying attention to what's happening, man. I'm just with you as you're telling me this story.
Yeah, I was talking to Scroy when he was making this, and he was like, okay, so laterality is definitely setting, but even our linear is good at. I was like, pacing. Dude, have you ever read anything by like really lateral people? Unless they're crazy good writers, it sucks pacing-wise.
Home stuff.
People don't know how to pace that shit, especially like the big, sprawling, world-building people that fuck them.
That's interesting.
And Scroy then agreed and incorporated pacing into it. And I'm very happy with that. Yeah, no, I think this is a good chart.
I mean, personally, I don't know about anyone else, but definitely, certainly for me, it works. Because pacing is pretty much, like, I don't consciously look for like, oh, I need a show with good visuals and pacing. I just watch a show, and it's not if the show looks nice. It's is there like a good action scene? Is there good like romance on screen happening? And is it happening a lot? Because if there's a lot of talking, I'm just gonna skip over that. Like you have to make me care about the talking first.
Yeah. One thing I would add to this is I don't like that it's pretty much just for cinema or anime or any movie type stuff right now. So what I'd replace visuals with is texture.
Oh god.
Because texture is what is layered like on the story, what is in the images, but also kind of in the cadence of how people talk or how things are described exactly. It's texture to me.
What a lat imp thing to do to replace that with texture.
I'm very lat.
I know.
Like, you're not wrong, but I'm like, only a lap imp would do that.
I wanted to apply to different things, and I also just agree with texture more, because visuals can be very, very interesting visuals are definitely red column, but you can have like you can have visuals that are pretty, but they're like boring.
No, I definitely agree with you saying, because like one of like my favorite genre is romance, and the visual element of romance isn't like consistent, but there's definitely a texture to a lot of the romance, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Also, when you said texture, I immediately remembered Urcoy's asshole chart. And then every time anyone says the word texture, all I can think of is the bottom right corner. Pure instinct is like this red and black rain. Anyway, just thought I'd throw that out there.
Like next episode, I think. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you already did it. My mistake.
Nope.
So I don't know if I'm a directing guy exactly, but I definitely talk about directing a lot compared to, say, Vamp. Like that was my major contribution to the Degrassi retrospective. Is I noticed all the cool directing stuff that happened.
You have a video on called the. Know what? I'm just gonna go. What's your link? Me your channel when you get a chance.
I have many channels.
Link me the one that has the Degrassi retrospective, because I gotta check that out.
I only do like script supervision and stuff for that, and like contribute ideas in the note taking phase. But I like, so it's not all me, but there is definitely me in it, and I'm like in the credits of like almost every episode.
Gotcha. Anyway, weren't we talking about a chart?
Oh, sorry. No, you go ahead. I think it's gonna be longer.
What?
Go ahead.
I don't know if Reed had anything to say, but
okay.
I think changing that to texture does make it hit for me more, because I'm having a really hard time with these charts. Like, I think about all these things sort of an equal amount, but if I think about, the combination of texture or visuals with setting, I think that makes more sense. Like, I don't know, I have a hard time caring about a show if like it just feels a certain way that I'm not interested in at all. I'll just like get bored or drop it halfway through or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Quick thing, I just remembered that my fiance is fairly lexical, and the characters category definitely fits for her. Every time we watch a movie, she's always very struck by characters and is always very moved by them. I think we cried. She cried at the end of Max Payne Fury Road, which is something I didn't expect anyone to ever cry at, because she was like, the people become friends, and then he just was like, I see ya, and then she was just like, what, he's leaving, and then she bawled.
Huh.
Would you say she's more of a setting or more of a pacing person?
She's understanding. So, I mean, right on that edge.
Mm-hmm. Does that track, do you think?
I don't know. It doesn't make, it's kind of a blur. She's just interested. She doesn't really, I mean, she's kind of like Tarbuck, where it's like, I don't care about the pacing unless it's really bad.
Yeah, it has to be epically bad for me to notice it.
Yeah, also, we have to make a distinction here. Like, bad pacing doesn't mean that it's slow. Things can be meandering, and that can be the point. That's not bad pacing. Bad pacing is
an example of like
with it.
An example of slow meandering pacing is like Psycho.
Yeah, right. No one would accuse that film of bad pacing. Well, no respectable person would.
There's other reasons why that film didn't age well, but the pacing is not one of them.
Yeah, right. Okay, but back to the person who did the Degrassi video, because that's a very interesting comment here. That I only completely got to appreciate moments before we started recording because I read Tarbuck's notes. Okay, so Not a Vampire, friend of the show, says, honestly, I think the left chart would work, the one with the 4 columns, would work best as a linear to lateral progression, with plot being lateral most, basically flip it 90 degrees. I was like, no, with texture I like it this way. I can see all of this, and I could also map the characters bit that I very much like to like my little analyst hotspot, and it's cool. And I can see it less if it's flipped 90 degrees. And then Tarbuck said, but what Tarbuck took as a note is that
I think that we
overlay
should
them, essentially.
We should do both of them. Keep the columns as it is, but also rotate it clockwise 90 degrees, and the intersection of where you are is the things for you. So like if you're human calculator, then you're plot. If you're pure instinct, then you're texture.
Nothing changes for me.
Yeah, nothing changes for you.
No, that just makes it more
I have
intense.
no comment. You're probably right.
Yeah. And I get characters' texture from that, which is the most perfect thing I could possibly place for me. So 100%, this was absolutely wonderful if we just overlay them. I don't know how I didn't see that.
And I get
I'm
directing
retrospectively
characters.
the most wrong anyone has ever been.
I feel like you say that every time Scory has any post.
No. Well, this isn't Scry's work. Scry did it almost correct, and then
it is his
Brandon
post, so I mean,
yeah.
Wait,
no, Scry doesn't get credit for that. It's a good post. It's a good post by Scry.
if there's a like 1/3 of this chart together is like the columns one rotated, then does that mean that setting goes with plot and characters and pacing goes more with directing and texture? Yeah, as I say it, it feels
that makes
right.
Sense. Yeah.
So I guess it makes more sense to just use the same one again, because the setting pacing is just just a binary thing. So less detailed.
Does a counterclockwise rotation work with the setting pacing? Like setting for the lexical side, pacing for the impressionistic side. Does that work for you? Because it doesn't for me, but only because I give zero fucks about pacing.
Doesn't for me either.
To me, that chart seems more neutral. So
yeah,
I don't know. It doesn't do
I think
really anything.
It is.
Let's see. Now I have to make some predictions because we're all on the right half of the chart. Do you think that best guy ever would care about pacing? I think he would.
Yeah, he cares about pacing.
Okay.
But he pretty much only cares about plots.
That means that they're both 90 degrees.
I feel like any hard lexi is, for some reason, I just have this impression that hard lexis are just going to be more critical of media.
Yeah, and Nate is at the lower end of technician, so he would be dipping as much into pacing as I would, and I'd already see myself as pretty even on those two.
So he's plot and then characters directing.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Because Nate also cares about setting. Not like he doesn't.
Yeah.
I am having a very hard time visualizing all of this.
He's very much into the technicalities, I get it, of media, which is upsetting.
All right. I notice looking at both of these charts that there is no place for theme at all.
Yeah, it seems a bit kind of like something with setting.
Yeah.
Sort of, but not really.
Yeah, right. These seem all like ways of conveying a theme.
True.
All of these are methods. All of these are things you can put a theme into.
Yeah, theme seems more like an emergent thing.
I've heard at least some conspicuous people who need to be on the show, you fucking coward, say, I care more about theme than characters, which I vaguely grasp at, but I do not really relate.
Yeah, no, same.
I guess I get that. I mean, but the characters are going to be motivated by that theme, you know?
Yeah.
For me,
like,
this is the opposite. Often I just write a character that I find is interesting, and they intrinsically have some sort of theme, and then their story becomes about that.
True.
Automatically through them being in it.
I mean...
So, are we again talking about the most lexical person alive?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
This is my friend Mask, by the way, for people who like to read.
Very, very Mask.
Not me.
We've linked articles of Masks before.
This is going to be the longest Neurotypeline I've been on, I think.
We'll see.
All right.
I'm looking at the time. It's almost 40 minutes, and we're on post number 2.
Yeah, but it's like it's.
That was not bad,
right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that was good discussion.
It's good.
Yeah. I had a U-shaped curve with that chart. I looked at it and I loved it, and then the longer I looked at it, the less I liked it, and then I just kept going, and then it wrapped around, and I liked it again.
Yeah,
so it is.
Yeah, I hope Troy still agrees with this theory. He has, as we all know, a history of immediately abandoning ship.
Yeah.
Well, it's because he gets the inkling that this isn't perfectly put together, so he just throws it away. That's generally what he does.
Okay, the next post is by Akko is Life, and it's Neurotpyss can change, kinda. Maybe my life was a lie.
Neurotpyss.
And I have such sympathy. Neurotpyss.
It sounds like Neurotpyss. Rot-piss.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, it's the piss that comes when the neurons rot.
oh God.
That's what you pee out when you've got diabetes.
Oh.
No.
uh,
Gross.
Childhood. I have just seen the new Hobbit movie. I was
Hobby
excited about
movie?
it. New Hobbit movie.
hobby movie.
New Hobbit movie. I was excited about it. A lot of thoughts going through my brain. In essence, I was discussing the movie with myself in a monologue. Normal. Suddenly, a realization. I don't have to think the words I think to know what I think. Basically, I realized that I don't have to prove to myself the words that I already understand implicitly. Little did I know I am right on the middle between the columns on Digi's neurotyping chart. Has anyone else had this realization upon which they became a less lexical thinker?
This sounds like Hermit.
Yes.
Sort of thing he would write.
A very autistic typing style. But it's a good story, told in sufficiently few words.
It makes me feel like I'm 1,000 years
pacing.
old, though, because I was a teenager when the first Lord of the Rings movies were coming out.
Oh dear.
Yeah, I feel like how old? When did the first Hobbit movie come out?
I
like
want to say
20
like 2001, 2002, something like that.
No,
He
no,
said
that's
Hobbit.
Lord of the Rings.
Oh,
said
oh,
Hobbit.
It was
It came out in
2012.
2012.
okay.
So childhood
I think.
2012. I mean, that's 9 years ago.
Yeah, all right, I get
I
it.
guess people get to be young.
Wait,
Fuck
Tarvik
'em.
does sound like he's 9 sometimes.
He's got a voice changer on.
In particular, when I adopt the fugue state. Being a child is a fugue state.
Oh yeah.
I never left it.
I can just say I would hate to have like a minor personal revelation triggered by a mediocre piece of cinema. I hate it when pieces of media have more power over you than they rightfully deserve.
Hey, you want to be horrified for a minute? Think about how
Sure.
much of your brain space is currently being occupied by corporate jingles.
No, no, I don't think I will.
I don't think a lot of it because I'm incapable of remembering melodies.
Okay, I know I have memorized multiple phone numbers to mattress stores from 15 years ago.
Oh no. Yeah, no, that sounds like hell. I
Oh, wait,
do
no,
not
no, I
envy you.
understand.
I haven't
Yeah.
seen commercials in a long time.
Like right now, I can tell you 773-202 Luna for mattresses, but also
The pony.
you can yes, yeah. I wanted to make that a pony meme, and then with a tag of something like "People from the Midwest will understand."
Have you guys heard? Have you guys heard that jingle that goes 1877 cars for
Cars
kids?
for kids.
That is the
KIRS
worst
cars for
thing
kids.
in my life. Is the
It's also a
1877 cards for kids?
Cars for
Every
kids
time it
is also
comes
a
on,
scam.
I am filled with dread.
Like I feel colonized. I adopted ad block as soon as I was able to, and then I went to the much harder drug of a script blocker. So the domains that own the ads can't even run code on my computer.
You're so far beyond me. You sound like an anime character trying to describe something. I had to put in the script blocker, and it sounded like you injected a chip into your brain that made you more powerful.
Yeah, no, that happens in the first episode of Lane, I'm pretty sure.
Of course.
She injects the script blocker.
I think we all know that
No,
Lane
actually,
would use
she
a script
injects a
blocker.
script amplifier.
She'd have a script blocker for bullshit and a script amplifier for everything else.
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
The Hobbit.
this
We're talking about The Hobbit.
Neurotype the Hobbit right now.
I don't give enough of a shit.
The actual book, clear-sighted.
Makes
That's
sense.
that's my pick for the actual book.
From the amount that I read, I'll agree, I guess.
Do you guys know anything about Tolkien? All right, I'm not here right now. I am
Do we know anything
disconnected. I didn't
about?
hear that question?
You cut out.
Hello?
Hi
Yes,
there.
yes,
Okay.
I can hear you.
I was going to ask you guys, Do you know anything about the author that wrote, Tolkien, who wrote The Hobbit and
Tolkien? Yeah, I know the guy.
JRPG Tolkien.
What would you neurotype him? Because that guy was pretty wild. He had a weird relationship with language and stuff.
Yeah.
If I were to
me,
actually
he feels kind of
pick
analysty.
Maybe, yeah.
That's my first impression.
But I heard there's this quote about him that was like, he was talking about learning a new language, and he was saying something like, other people, they try a new candy and like, oh, this is an interesting new flavor. And he's like, I know so many languages that whenever I like start learning a new language, it's like just a new flavor of candy to me.
Fascinating.
Yes. Definitely high lab though. That guy was crazy.
Yeah. I want to put him in like analyst.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
Maybe right side.
Yeah, I was thinking leaning towards fascinator maybe.
Yeah, somewhere between analyst and fascinator. That works for me.
There's lightning.
I don't think this person wanted us to talk about J.R.R. Tolkien when they wrote Neurotpyss.
The actual thing.
Neurotpyss.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah, it was about, can neurotypes change, and also monologues, I guess. Are they necessary?
Yeah. I mean, we already had this thing about inner monologues and such, but I just think there's an interesting story about times you figure out a bit of the way you think and maybe even change it in the process. I find those kinds of experiences very interesting.
I've had a similar thing where it's like, oh yeah, I don't need to be like speaking right now in my head. I'm just using brain power. I can just know it.
In my brooding periods, I definitely get more lexical, but not like I've talked about that on the show before. But as I try to work something out, I usually default to an internal monologue. But I'm using that as a jumping off point because I'm trying to see if putting it to phrasing exposes some new angle of attack on the thing that it's just too mushy for me to work out otherwise. But then other times when I'm looping on something, maybe it's like how to put together a particular piece of joinery. Like I've been imagining in my head how to do a keyed mortise and tenon joint, aka a tusk tenon, for like 5 days because I have a half-finished project, but I need to meet a deadline, and I haven't been able to do this keyed mortise and tenon, so I just imagine myself mortising it over and over and over again. And words do not describe all of it, and it's like pure procedure. So yes, but not all the time. That's what I'm really getting at there. Yeah.
You know what I realized about I remember there was a post, I don't know how old it was, but on the Neurocord that was like or the Neurotyping Reddit. I don't know why I'm saying the wrong words all the time. Where they were like, I forgot what I was gonna say. Never mind. I got hung up on Neurocord.
Your host can't read.
Oh, I remember now. It came back. Hold up. It was something about they're like, how do I don't know how to. I am very impressionistic, and it is like very harmful to my standing in life, and I need it. Can you guys help me figure out how to be more lexical? And I said something like, just try writing your thoughts. That's what I do. Because I get in these loops where I think about something really hard and then I write it down and I realize the thing I've been thinking about for 2 hours is like a sentence long, and I'm like, oh, that just killed the vibe for me.
I mean, yes, definitely. I have had that happen to me before where like I'll start up a conversation with somebody about something that I've been thinking about a lot just to like get it out of my head, because once I explain it to somebody, which is really what words are for, like the words are not for me sorting the thought out. The words are for how I can explain it to other people. So I guess the internal monologue is like rubber duck debugging, where you're just trying to explain what happens to yourself so that you can notice it. Yeah. Our internal monologue is a rubber duck.
I agree. Sometimes I have more than one rubber duck. I get to bring a friend this time.
Good episode title.
That was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Any more on this post?
Well, what about the concept of neurotypes changing at all, like in general? Do you think that even like happens?
I think that happens.
Of course it happens. I think people switch between. Let me start with this. I had a conversation with my friend the other day when I was doing a different podcast about critical thinking. And we were like, a lot of people don't critically think about a lot of things. Like they hear something and they just accept that thing as true and they don't try to question whether it was real or not, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fuck, I gotta relate this back and I forgot what we were doing. Type switching. Oh, yes. When people get into something that they know a lot about, say your job is to be a farmer and you're farming, right? And someone tells you something about farming, you're a lot more likely to be like, that sounds like some bullshit. And I just know it. Like, I know things about that, right? Maybe you're more lateral or linear because that's your thing, right? But then when it's like something you don't know anything about, and someone tells you something about it, you're a lot less likely to critically think about it or have like a big lateral worldview about it, you know? I'm just what I'm basically trying to say is different things I think people come out with different levels of laterality depending on how much they care about it.
I have definitely been in a hardware store and I'm eyeing some wood and I'm being real careful about what I choose. And this other guy who works there is like coming up to me and he's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm analyzing this for twist and wane and where the pith is. And he's like, oh, I would love to learn. Can you explain it to me? And I start explaining it to him and he asked what I'm building. And I say that I'm building a bed and he like a bed frame, like out of pine. And I'm like, yes. If you have cut your joinery correctly, you can stand on it with a dry fit. If you cannot do that, then you need to suck less. But by this point, he had already checked out because he's like, well, the way that I know how to do things, you can't build a bed frame out of pine. So you must not know what you're talking about. Bye. Which proves the point, but was also proving the point in another way where we had this ships passing in the night moment of co-dismissing one another. And if I had to do it over again, I would go back and try to explain further to that guy. But I have a feeling that he just wouldn't want to hear it.
That's a shame.
I didn't mean if Reed was not done. He's gone. Okay. I was gonna say that I didn't mean to just talk over the guy if he was talking. But we could not hear him whatsoever, so I just started telling a story.
Okay.
Oh my.
I think we should maybe cut out the silence until Reed gets back.
Yeah, definitely.
Man, this internet, am I right? They should just go on without me. But I can't even send the message, you should go on without me, and just see if I'll come back because my internet's so bad.
Hello?
Oh.
Hey. We can hear you.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Urcoy, I left quite a monologue for you to listen to.
Oh, you were talking?
I explained the whole thought. And then I went, wait, did I disconnect? And I got really mad.
Well, we'll have it.
I can't. It's not worth going. I'm not redoing that, boys.
Yeah, we'll find out what you said when we listen to the episode.
That's just sad.
I'll just layer yours and Tarbuck's thing on top of each other. Put one in the left ear, one in the right ear.
We'll splice it one word of the one, then one word of the other, and back and forth.
Oh god, you don't realize how hard that is to edit.
Oh my god,
that's brutal, man.
After I finished explaining, I just started talking to Urcoy in the future. And I was like, Urcoy, this is really sad, my guy.
Oh man. Oh, that
Anyway.
sucks. Well, to give my thought on types changing over time, we've already established on this show that types do change over time because babies are pure instincts, and it just goes from there. like whether or not you deviate from that space is up to you, but like the possibility space gets wider and wider as you form a sense of self is, I think, the way that I was thinking about it before. Or maybe I just made that up. I don't know. Cross-reference it yourself, bitch. I currently think, and I might just be making this up again, that once you have like a semi-concrete sense of self, you have like your heat map there as like a little snapshot of your life. And then because your heat map is determined by the different circumstances pressing on you, like you promoting you thinking this way or causing you to think this way for emotional reasons or other stuff like that, that like the exact amount of time that you spend in different areas is just going to be like the sum of the forces on you by your life. And so it will distort over time, but like it's a slow process.
Yeah. I've sort of more and more gotten to the belief that it's 90% or so environmental. It's just you do certain things, acquire a certain mode of thought for that. And you, as we discussed before, like you can slip into different neurotypes to do different tasks. You have different neurotypes for different environments and so on. So you just practice them over time. You will be in some of those environments more or less, or you will perform different tasks. So one of those types you will use more and more, and your natural type shifts towards that. It goes on, but you always have some types you can go into. One will always be dominant, and there's drifts in there unless you spend your whole life doing the same thing. And being around the same people.
Yeah, like it makes me think about quotes from a bunch of different guys. Like CGP Grey says that you are the sum of the forces upon you, which is where I got that quote from earlier in this very paragraph. My buddy Tim often says you are what you do often, and then. Like I think about how there's nature versus nurture and stuff, but it's a little more complicated than that, of course, because everything is. But like you have the genetic component, then like things that are not genetic are developmental. That is, they were like taught to you. Then the rest of then you have environmental, which is where you are currently. And then you have like the actions that you're undertaking right now. You are what you do often, and the way that pushes on you. And where is the part of me that's me? How much of me is my own free choice? Fuck all this shit. I want to exert my will upon the world. And that's why virtue ethics is the true way, because it is internally sourced. It comes from within.
All right. Quick thing. You said that I like what you said. You are what you do often, and I think that's a good thing to remember when doing neurotyping, because we often think when I type myself, but I know this has happened to me. Like I know my possible.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned this in a later video, right?
I don't know. I don't know. I know. Like I say that like I can do. Like, I could do human calculator. It's a bitch, but I could do it. Like, there's certain tasks that require me to be there. But, I don't do that often. So I am what I do often, which is just PI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a hard time with this because I don't feel like there's some ways that I have not changed at all throughout my entire life. I don't know. It's weird to me. Like, I feel like there's two charts. Like, there's sort of the... I don't know, what would it be, emulative or simulative?
Wait, are those the two, or?
I don't know.
Please expand this idea. I want to hear more.
I feel like there's one that doesn't, I don't know, looking at other people too, it feels like it doesn't change that much. But there's like, I can use my cognition to do pretty much anything if I can like shape it in a correct way. I can make it look and act pretty much like the same thing. I guess that would be a simulation.
So
I think you can simulate any type. I don't know if the core type changes that much or that easily.
True.
The brain adapts to what it does, so I think if you simulate long enough, you'll start emulating.
Yeah.
I think that's true as well. I do think there. I remember I said this before somewhere that like your neurotype, like if you look at someone's life and you're like, how do I neurotype this person, right? You have to you could neurotype what they are, like their whole life. What would their neurotype be for their whole life, right? Like maybe they're clear-sighted, but if you're looking at a very specific part of their life, maybe they're a different neurotype. Like if you're just looking at maybe you're looking at this person because there's some sort of artist and you're just looking at the time frame when they were an artist, maybe you'd get a different neurotype.
Mm-hmm.
Right. If I'm looking at it that way, I think I've done like a parabola from pure instinct toward technician and then back to over to new type or something.
Oh, that's quite the journey.
That is a journey, all right. Yeah.
Yeah, that seems like a thinner layer that like doesn't mean much.
Yeah. I think I don't think that, I mean, obviously who you are right now in the present, obviously who you are in the present is usually a lot more important than how you, as far as neurotyping at least, who you have been is a lot less important than who you are right now. You know?
Yeah.
No one really cares that maybe you were a pure instinct who went technician is now new type. That doesn't really affect the fact that you are currently new type.
Yeah.
Right.
And I also don't think that it diminishes your potential at all to be the other things. Like, clearly that was within your inventory. The reason that I went on my internally focused rant is if I'm pushing back against the forces pushing on me, I want to know where I would land in that case. And I think because I make such a big deal about doing that in every aspect of my life, I think that right here in Overseer is probably where I would land. Yeah.
Does anyone
this
else
is a really
think
cool
they have
conversation.
Does anyone else think they have like a parabola like Urcoy had, or?
I mean, I'd say I think it's mostly superficial looking. Like,
yeah. Okay.
If you actually talk to me, I could, it seems like I was doing things more so based on my environment and expectations than like what would make the most sense.
Okay.
Because I feel like I would have done stuff like way better if I was doing it the way I was doing it now.
I feel if I had to say a parabola for my life, it would probably be analyst to like fascinator, then down into overseer, and then just like straight shot to pure instinct.
Analyst baby.
That was like a very brief time in my life, probably.
Oh, I figured out a parabola for my life.
All right.
Yeah, for I was raised Catholic, and then for a brief period of time, not that brief. For a while, I was an atheist, and then later on, I was not an atheist anymore. I am once again the only true Christian. Hi, how you doing?
Oh, I was gonna be like, "Where's the Neurotype?" Oh, it's just coming back.
Yep,
to the
I'm just like stroking my other titles.
Because, as we all know, a parabola is when you flip off then on again.
That's
true.
how that works. Your finger does a parabola when you turn the switch off and on.
Yep.
Wait, how do you flip switches? Do you like use your whole finger and like you go?
I make a very careful parabola.
And you kick at the wall.
The parabola represents the speed that my finger is moving at. First it's stationary, and then it picks up speed, and then drops in speed according to the parabola.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, we're talking about parabolas. You guys want to talk about the relation to time?
Yeah.
Oh,
right.
God.
Thank you. Time cake. Relation to time.
I don't know what this is.
Yeah, honestly,
I can't understand.
A lot of time cakes posts are very strenuously neurotyping. This is barely neurotyping.
Yeah.
It seems like this is just, I read some cool shit, let me tell you about it, and then like maybe peripherally throw some neurotyping there so I have an excuse to post it in neurotyping server. That being said, all of this is interesting, this is cool, but it's patently an excuse to tell people about this shit, which I respect. People need to be psyoped into knowing cool shit.
Yeah. time-like symmetric particles, that sounds pretty fucking cool. Casual hypergraph, or causal hypergraph, that's even better.
Yeah.
That sounds
Casual hypergraph.
Also an episode title, the fucking casual hypergraph.
Yeah.
There's just intrinsic tension between the words casual and hyper.
I'm casually hyper.
Somebody should overlay this this circle he's got in the bottom right on top of the neurotyping chart. I think that'd be funny. I don't think it'll make any sense, but I think it'd be really funny.
High influence. High influence. You're
Told you
independent.
the anger con.
Guilty. I'm guilty of dependency.
I'm high influence and somewhat joy, and Urcoy is highly joy.
I am love and affiliation. Isn't that wonderful?
Love and affiliation.
I mean, that's how I feel about you, baby.
Thank you. Thank you, Will.
Thank you, Woo.
Yes.
I think
That's
I
what
like
said.
I like that all the negative emotion is on the lexical side.
Yeah.
The bookkeepers are sadness, pain, avoid, low
Tolkien is
influence.
just anger.
Well,
Yeah, I
that,
specifically put this in this episode so that Holgi couldn't defend himself.
well, that's why the hate peaks right over at the intersection between eugenics and school shooters.
Oh.
Yeah, Darbo's gotta have his moment every episode.
This whole thing relates to Little Write-Up. I said Little Write-Up, despite this thing being properly spaced and still being hella long. The time-flicted called The Veil and Void, or Veil and the Void, I think.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool. Neurotyping isn't mentioned in that once, so if you only care about neurotyping, reading it is a waste of time. But it's very cool. It's about some concepts of how knowledge and thingness in potentiality arises in psychoanalysis and and how it ties into physics and all that. Essentially, if you've ever heard this Zizek quote, "Reality is less than nothing," that's what it means.
I thought you said
because nothing bears infinite possibility through the veil. If there's just nothing, you can see that there's nothing, then well, you're fucked. But if there's an inaccessibility to the nothing, like we can't observe the entire universe, there's a lack of focus, so we can imagine anything beyond that veil, and infinite possibility arises from the nothingness, essentially, through a limiting filter.
I thought you said this was a Xi Jinping quote at first.
No, Zizek. Slavoj Zizek.
Just because of the Zizek on violence thing, I still like cringe really hard internally anytime I hear like Zizek's name. And I know you've given other Zizek quoted other Zizek ideas at me, and I'm like, that sounds pretty cool. Maybe I misjudged this guy. And then
How do you even
I
spell
remember
this guy's name?
Z-I-Z-I-K. There's a arrow downwards on both the Z's.
See, I was trying to use like G's, and it was like Giga, and I'm like, this can't be right.
Giguk, Slavoj Giguk.
Slavoj Giguk. Okay, that edit is in the episode right now. Look at the screen. That's an image of Slavoj Giguk.
Wait. I actually looked up Slav boy because I thought that was real for a
there's
second.
now another image of Slav boy.
Except for I accidentally typed in slave boy Zizek.
Zizek's head on slave Leia's body.
Okay.
This is the first image that comes up when you look up Zizek Slav boy. It's Snoop Dogg like talking over a picture of this guy. What is happening?
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Welcome to the Neurotypeline, the worst podcast on the internet.
Okay, to get back to the actual, to the true post, which is Veil and Void. although he can't seem to decide whether it's veil and void or veil in void.
Or veil in void.
I was skimming this, but I didn't really have the patience for reading because, as I mentioned previously, I was going through what's the opposite of withdrawals? Poisoning as a result of my vaccine. Vaccine. And also, I ate a pound of cookie dough after being keto for a month straight. That was a bad idea.
Dude, that sounds like you. That definitely does sound like poisoning. I'm gonna be real.
Yeah. There was a pound of cookie dough, a quesalupa, and a quarter loaf of bread, and an actual cooked cookie, and 2 bags of chips.
You call it poisoning. I call it a good use of a weekend.
Yeah, all in the span of like 2 hours. Anyway, I got to the quote, "To question something is to seek to negate it," which effectively identifies it with inquiry as such. And false. No. You can be curious, just on the face of things. You can question something for ways to collaborate with it. There's other ways to be curious about something, to question something other than to challenge it or to try and negate it. Even challenging it doesn't necessarily mean negating it. I think that's a little extreme.
No, I think you kind of are misreading the quote. It's not to question is to try to prove it wrong. It's the process of questioning implies asking what is the case if this is false.
And
this is a necessary part of questioning, not that to question is actively seeking to negate it. Not that that's your goal, but that that's a method you must employ.
I also disagree with that, though, because there's plenty of things that I have questioned with no inkling towards what if it were not true. At least, usually when I'm talking to another person about something, I'm trying to do so. Lately, I've been trying this war without making war strategy, which is seek to collaborate with them on whatever it is that they're trying to do. It confuses the shit out of them.
Okay, yeah, but what about something, is the sky green? If I can't ask, okay, what else could it be? How could it not be green? Then I can literally not answer that question or think about it or disprove it or anything.
I mean, it sounds like a lot more true that it's just to question something is one of the things. I think it's a lot more obvious that you're going to think, what would happen if that were true?
Yeah. You have to ask, what are the other options if this is not true? Otherwise, you don't have anything to think about, right?
I don't know. I don't think it's implied though. I don't think it's maybe it is. I don't know, but it doesn't seem like it's a necessary mechanism of questioning something to actually think about other options.
Mm-hmm.
I think the way I interpret negating it is just sort of the natural endpoint of asking questions, because you have an unsatisfied spot in your brain. It's active and moving. And the only place for it to go is to eventually stop moving.
That makes more sense to me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So whichever way you satisfy it, that is to negate it to me. So if you're curious, I don't think negating is a negative. It's
I mean, negating is a negative. That's why it
negate
looks negative, I think, right?
Yeah,
I'm just used to people saying negate in a negative context, I guess. Maybe that's it. It gives me angry feels. I get angry feels off of the person saying negate.
It's that Breaking Bad meme where the guy does the happy face and then the angry face. That's the negate. I don't remember that guy's name.
I don't either. So this is anyway, what I took from this is that I am gonna have there was just one example of a thought in here that I saw it and was nah, that's just not true, man. And
yeah, I mean, I also don't fully agree with it. There's this whole Wittgenstein thing about some problems don't need to be solved, they need to be dissolved, which also is a different way of tackling this. You don't have to ask, what if this is not true, but you have to ask, what if it is irrelevant if this is true?
What if it doesn't actually matter?
Like, this happens to me all the time whenever I'm talking about both religion and politics, which is, if the thing that you think is false was true, would you care? And for most people, the answer is no.
Yeah.
Is the Earth flat?
Well, yeah, like talking to a flat earther, if they were wrong, would they care? Usually not. Usually they'll just keep on being flat earth anyway.
People are right to say that truth is in low supply, but it is in even lower demand.
That's the first time I've ever heard that, and I love it so much.
As far as I know, I came up with that.
Excellent.
Or maybe I've unknowingly stolen it from something. If so, tell me in the comments.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's really not much to say on neurotyping here, except like later from a whole diatribe on time, how complexity forms from time, also from the void, from unknown chaos behind something, and from how time is a destructuring and at the same time homogenifying force. Okay, so how do neurotypes relate to this? Complete non sequitur. Absolutely nothing to do with the previous theory. And he says, okay, linear lateral. He says, impressionist lexical are different in that lexicals tend towards coherence, which is a term in quantum systems, whereas impressionists tend towards decoherence. That doesn't mean that you're incoherent. Decoherent isn't just an insult.
Oh my god.
Yes. I mean, I am both, but that aside.
I was trying to read ahead in class, and then someone came up in my ear and just made scary noises.
Yeah, and then he asks, okay, how does the linear lateral axis affect perception of time? And he offers two ways this could be, either in how they deal with finality in general, with terror management, with how do they act under the premise that death will come eventually. And what was the other one? That they invest their resources differently in the time management process. Like, what do you do with what time you have allotted? And it doesn't answer. It's just, okay, here's the two paths. Either how do you look at time, or how do you work with time? And there might be some distinction in how they do that. I don't know. That question necessitates none of the other shit. This is just, hey, I read a cool book, let me tell you about it. Also, neurotyping, I guess.
Also, neurotyping, I guess, is exactly how I would summarize this post. Yes.
That's a good episode title.
Yeah, like there's a line, neurotyping comes in somewhere here between multicellular life forms, genetic sequentiality, and mimetic autopoiesis. So just in the region where complex life would be, that's when neurotyping comes in. Yeah, congratulations, mainly applies to humans.
Wow.
Yeah, there's also, as always with Time Cake, a cute picture of Ray in there. There's nice little quotes and memes and all that.
Did you see the brother, the moth one?
Yeah.
He's hiding in there. Brother.
Also, Time Cake might be listened to listen to some earlier, and yes, I think this loops around, but I'm not going to discuss the whole thing because it isn't tied to neurotyping.
Oh.
Message specifically to Time Cake.
Well, any more on that?
Yeah, maybe a quick explanation of what coherence and decoherence is. Essentially, coherence is a thing that you want in quantum systems for quantum computers, which is that the system is essentially completely self-contained or unitary. And you, from where a particle is now, you can make an accurate assessment of how the system must have looked like some time ago. Whereas decoherence is, okay, it's impossible to perfectly insulate a system. It will always somehow interact with the outside, and therefore it interacts with functions and particles from outside the system we are examining, partially through our measuring instruments themselves. And that's one way you can explain the collapse of certain wave functions, which is that they acquire more and more attributes from this outside until they're at some point no longer really tied to the original system. And now think about that as how thought works. And symbols are also this completely self-contained. I can structure it within my own mind. There's not that much outflow or inflow with the outside world. Whereas with impressions, there's a direct feed tube. You're always channeling into and out to the surrounding environment.
Okay.
And coherence doesn't work.
That makes sense.
As you were explaining that, I was scrolling through lolly art, and that is
Whoa, what the fuck? No, okay.
That is an experience to hear you summarize this while like
It's some good ASMR.
yeah, like I was enjoying that. Like here, have lolly and Pepsi Man. This is what I was doing.
Thank you.
This image. That's all I can say. I mean,
thank you.
oof.
All right.
Well,
I have nothing more to say on that because there's very... Oh, no, wait. Do any of you have opinions on how different neurotypes deal with the concept of time?
time.
Don't think about time. I had a dream the other day, like a week ago, where I was immortal. And then I realized when I woke up that I was not. And then I had I think my relationship with time subconsciously changed where I wanted to do more because I knew I was going to die. But I don't think about it a whole lot. So I think I'm going to live forever until I realize I'm not.
Yeah, because that was also one of the thoughts I have. I also think very little about time. And I think there's kind of a dichotomy. I don't know what axis it goes along, but between thinking in terms of spaces and thinking in terms of time. From my neurodoc, it comes out a lot of thinking even of time or even of cognition in the shape of these topologies and sort of mountain ranges of spaces, of textures, of spatiality instead of temporality.
Huh.
That might be a thing. I think red column is more space thinking.
I think my favorite thing on this whole picture is where he says in parentheses, see, quote, 2 types of autism, unquote, which is like only in neurotyping, man, where this come up.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a space player, so
Right.
of course.
I don't know. I have interesting relationships.
And Caliborn is a time player. The most low-functioning human calculator. Yeah, okay, this makes sense. I'm not completely sold on my own theory.
Nice.
My relationship with time and space is like complicated, I guess, because like I try to customize spaces a lot. But I also, like, one of the primary Tarbuck themes is thinking about time and, like, presentness versus past and nostalgia and legacy. And there's a reason why we watch so many old cartoons and, like, kids' movies and stuff when we do movie nights. It's because of, like, connecting the past to the present and trying to keep, contrast the good things in the different spaces and like I even talk about them as spaces, but like that's just an evocative way of talking. It's not like I actually think about time as a space, even though it literally is.
No, don't wait. I'm going to pretend I didn't hear that because it's too powerful of an idea for my head.
The past is another country and all that. Yeah, time is a space. So I think a lot about time, but in a like down to earth practical sense, I really don't, which is how I can buy some stock or a coin or something like that and then not look at it for 5 hours and accidentally lose $50 like I did today. Because in a moment to moment, I do not think about a time I think about time in a hop, skip, and a jump around nebulous kind of way, not in a sequence of events remember to eat kind of way.
Yeah.
That's what I've got.
Yeah. Also tapped on this. But yeah, that sounded all interesting, the quantum physics and philosophy, and found watch it. Read that article. It will be linked in the comments. Nothing but neurotyping, but it's cool.
Oh, one more thing with terror management. It reminded me of nebulophobia and nebulophilia.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, not more. Sorry, I'm looking at what Tarbuck's sending. I don't mean to cut you off. Did I just disconnect again when Tarbuck sent lolly art? This is the worst day of my life.
I do this all the time.
This is the worst day of my life, Urcoy.
Yeah, I'm not sure if complexiphobia and complexophilia has anything to do with that, but fairly obvious. So I guess.
Just thought I'd let you know that I disconnected this second Tarbuck sent that image. I literally reacted to it and then realized I had disconnected.
Oh, that sucks. I wanted to hear your
And
reaction.
I said, "Oh, I didn't mean to cut you off, Urco. I keep going. Oh, I'm disconnected."
So, do we want to get onto the genre talk?
Oh God, yes,
Yeah.
please.
Oh yeah.
Very one. Correlation between music genres and neurotyping.
Okay, so I found this post to be like exhausting,
Yeah.
partly because it was late.
I mean, have you seen the way this guy ends it? He says something like, "I mostly wanted to just hit submit on this." Like, he sounds like he was getting exhausted by writing it. Let's be honest.
Yeah, that makes more sense. It's like not that filtered.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the way he fails to understand punk music at all, outside of like, oh, it has these types of instrumentation, and it's the fucking Nate Bestman. Oh, we're just gonna look at the technical framework and not at all gonna talk about the experience of experiencing the thing. It distresses me.
Have you guys had an episode where you didn't mention Nate Bestman?
I don't think so.
He's he's the prototypical technician.
Yeah.
Oro has a big Nate boner.
There's other prototypical people. You don't have to bring up him every single episode. I mean, I'm not saying it's bad. It's just a thing. What is this? Stop sending this shit, Tarbuck.
He's just the clearest example.
Oh, I gotta
Yeah, he's our mascot.
He's our mascot.
Anyways,
he just keeps sending more. I mean, this isn't as bad.
Stop.
Okay, so this guy talks about different genres of music and things he can't get into, and how he thinks maybe that's got something to do with neurotyping, and how naturals would probably be more into metal, I think he says at some point, because it has more going on, and punk seems linear to him, and also probably impressionistic. And noise music is very impressionistic to him. It just seems like impressionism to him is anything that quote unquote lacks skill, which is not true for either of those, but that's how it's often perceived and such.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He says one of the first things he says is, "For now, it feels correct that linear music will have less going on." And I think to some extent, linear music may have less going on, but music for linear people, I don't think that's necessarily true, if you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And I feel like what you put in and what you get out are like fundamentally different things in that case. Like, you could have linear music that's just someone grabs a guitar, just twings on it, nothing really premeditated, just playing the guitar a bit, and shouting their soul out into a microphone just as it comes along. That's like very straightforward. I'm having a breakdown. I'm singing it into a microphone. I'm just making tunes with my hands. Doesn't fucking matter. Very linear production. But in the tenor of the voice, there will be shit tons going on in that.
Mm-hmm. And then if you think about, if we just say like pop music or something is linear, just as a generalization for now, like a lot goes into making pop music and it can be very detailed, technically speaking. Yeah. But like what you get is like very condensed.
Right.
Okay, I'm closing Twitter.
Like if I just had a random number generator somehow plug into a music program and just generated shit, I could have the music with the most stuff going on because literally everything is going on.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
I don't think that would make it lateral. I think that's more of a dumb gag thing.
Yeah, agreed.
If I slam the keyboard enough, does it become more lateral?
Like I fixate on quotes like punk often doesn't not punk, like it doesn't often have more technique. He says the phrase often has more technique like when talking about metal, and like no, you just stuck with that music to find technique, you fuck. The quote, there's something to be said about how much metal fans love to endlessly categorize the many subgenres and sub-subgenres of metal, and that one I actually think is true. If you spend a lot of time around metalheads, you do notice that they have a category for everything. That is the real truth in this post. I think a lot of the rest of this post is not true.
Yeah,
metal absolutely attracts cats for some reason. But genre heads aren't exclusive to metal music as a thing. I once heard a musician say that genre is mostly a fan thing and not a creator thing. They just kind of do stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So when this post was new, me and my music friends got in a voice chat that night and like shit on this a lot.
I believe it.
Particularly one, the Magica. He is like,
oh my God, yes. I was going to say that
he knows all about that. And like we would spend these like long late nights just like sharing music back and forth. Like we'd play each other's songs.
Cool.
So I can say like punk music is very, very, there's a lot there. There's a lot in there.
Yeah, the only person whose word I will accept on music and neurotyping the relationship, like the person I will accept the most is Magica, just because he is ascended when it comes to music.
Wait, I remember going to one of the Neurotype discords and running into Magica, and he started talking to me about music.
Wait a second.
That's what he's about.
I have a meme on my old computer. One of the first things I did on the Discord when I first joined was that Magica came in and literally complained to me about how you were stupid, Tarbuck, because you said something I think about music. And then I made a meme of like someone saying, this, I've been looking for this, and I hate this on the other hand, and it was like your image and his image.
What?
I think the thing that I said was if like I disagree that a band just copying the style of another band who no longer exists is a bad thing. Like there's some band out there who's just Led Zeppelin. They're just making more Led Zeppelin music, and like Led Zeppelin was great.
Greta Van
so
Fleet.
why not make more of that music?
I don't know. Knowing Greta Van Fleet, it's like really.
Yes, that was the example. Greta Van Fleet.
Yeah, that's the one. It like, I don't know. There's ways you can like do something another band was doing and like have it be fresh, but the way they're doing it, it's almost like, I don't know. It's like you're just copy pasting and there's like not much more there.
Okay, if you took Greta Van Fleet albums back in time and released them as Led Zeppelin albums, would anyone notice? I don't think so.
I don't know. I guess it would be like a Led Zeppelin clone or something.
Yeah, me neither.
I'm not sure. I guess in that particular example, it's sort of like if you did like a stand-up routine or something, and then somebody like did a similar one, but they were copying very specific things that are like your thing in theirs that like rubbed you the wrong way, like anybody who knows your stand-up or something.
Well, people hate joke stealers. I mean, that's all I know about comedy.
That's sort of what it is. Like there's some grain in there that you're stealing that's like kind of ruins it. I don't know.
I'm just not that into originality, I guess. Like originality is cool, but it doesn't have to be.
Right. There are times I've disagreed with him too on that, with some things.
Like, it sounds like a Ben Saint thing saying originality is its own virtue, and therefore the Bob Kane written Batman comics are better than The Dark Knight, the movie, which is just not true.
No.
Oh, I found the friggin' metal meme that I was trying to find for 30 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
There it is.
Oh, yeah. Smart.
Oh, I love that skater girl Fluttershy. That's very cute.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, there was
Also,
something about jazz in here,
yeah?
like jazz being Lat-Lex, and it's like, my first instinct is, why did you put jazz Lat-Lex? That doesn't make sense.
Because it sounds
inherently-
Lat-Lex. But if you do anything about jazz, I don't think you do that, right?
The roots of jazz are like the opposite of that.
Yeah. You can't even really write jazz down.
Jazz is like fucking hit the trumpet, bro, and then he does it, but he just did it. It's all psychically linked, obviously. And how is that Lat-Lex? Prove me wrong.
I'd say like the whole of jazz orbits around purple, but like generally more impressionistic.
One of the most categorical, like he calls out like electronica and EDM and stuff like that as being where did he actually say it? Lateral impressionist, and like
it was techno specifically.
Yeah. I don't know necessarily how exact certain people want to be about techno, you know? Like, I don't recognize any of these labels because I don't care about labels. Presumably you recognize some of that shit. But I think about, like, when somebody says techno and I know nothing about this person, I assume they mean just electronic music. So stuff like Daft Punk.
No, that's
Daft
not
Punk
what techno
is like one of the most categorical things I can think of.
No, techno is not like that at all. Techno is like, it's all like sub bass and just like a kick and extremely minimal in literal like elements that are going on.
Okay, so you're talking about actual techno, not techno in quotes, the way that people say every electronica song is EDM.
No, that's dumb. But yeah, techno is like all about, the thing you said about texture is correct. Like that's what differentiates techno songs is the textures.
I guess I'm less mad at this guy than I thought I was. I'm still not 100% cool with him, but I'm walking back some of
thing where he goes on about like punk bands having bad audio mixing, which like yeah, sure, sometimes you can barely hear the vocalist, but it all comes back to texture.
I think that's part of the appeal, though. I feel like that's on purpose, stuff that you can barely hear the fucking guy, and you're like, why can't I hear him? It's like, you're not supposed to. He's just screaming.
Like toy dolls or Andrew Jackson G had. There's a lot of like voice cracking and such. That's the thing. It's like imperfection, and they add texture and they're cool. That's the good part.
Yeah. Mixing is very complicated, so there's like, can be hard to explain how mixing can be bad.
Yeah.
But for something like punk, it's like, you can't just say all of it is like badly mixed. There can be like good and bad mixed punk. But that would be, you'd have to listen to punk to like get a gauge for like what counts.
There's also a bit where he says that songs are lexical when their lyrics are obvious in their meaning, which is very funny.
Maybe the lyrics are lexical. I don't think that changes the whole song.
Yeah, right.
And also how you sing those lyrics can change them.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I think this is a space where there's too much variation for this point to be true. I don't think genres are neurotypable, but I do think an act or an album is.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah, sure.
too broad. It's like
too broad also is this post. Like, this isn't very combed down and...
No, yeah. It looks like this guy spilled this post. Like, he did, like, he just had like a jar of words and this just kind of fell out.
It's very unkempt and there's some flies in there and some grass. But they like started to comb it, but it's like just one patch and it's really ugly.
Just the one pass. They went over punk music. They're like, yeah, I like that. And they just kind of like glanced at everything else. Like, do I really want to reread what I wrote?
Yeah. We could talk about this for a long time, but
I mean, you guys could. I've been very silent because I know nothing about music.
I'm out of things to say.
That's good.
Yeah, same. All right.
Next up is Norman Reedney's video.
Oh God. Oh geez.
Two of them. I think we can talk about them like in tandem.
Yeah,
like,
these haven't aged too well. One funny thing about these is he made these right when we were like getting the podcast going. Like,
I remember
right
that.
as we were starting to like actually.
Oh, are you
organize
guys?
This?
That's an interesting thought. Like, when did you guys start?
I think it was like October last year.
When you passed the day you started on the Reddit, that's just like kind of a milestone, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be next episode, isn't it?
We're going in circles.
Probably.
Yeah, I think this was you put these out before we actually put out our first one.
I think I probably made these because the idea that the podcast was happening soon was getting my brain working on neurotyping again.
Yeah. We should maybe say that the second of the Neuro Death videos ends with, I'm going to go through all the 16 types. This is like the start of this long series, and this is the last neurotyping video, to my knowledge, that you made.
Yeah, except for recently I cut down the original neurotyping video to just the 16 types. So there, I did it.
I think that was...
Because I started doing Bookkeeper. But he has... what do I say? Golden Witch?
Yeah, that works.
Does that work?
Trixie.
Because that's my favorite moniker so far is Golden Witch. Golden Witch wrote a lot of examples into the actual definition. Like they wrote a definition, right? Kind of the first paragraph or two is always the definition for each of the types. But then they also have several examples that further expound upon it. And they're just way too specific. Like the Bookkeeper one is one of the first examples is like this guy plays tennis and he just writes everything down. And then every match he goes back to the thing. I'm like, this is so specific. I don't even know how to do this.
Yeah. I mean, part of it is because, it's all contextualized through anime. So it's like, hey, this is like an anime character I should exemplify for this type.
The
and
peak
also this
order
character.
quadrant anime character is the main character from Baby Steps. I will agree with that. Pure order, if you will.
Pure order.
You definitely did this first video in like a Hank Green Nerd Fighter, that kind of style.
Oh God, I haven't heard the word Nerd Fighter in a huge minute.
You just said random words.
Vlog Brothers.
You guys see Tolgi?
The guy who does the blue text science of videos on the Game Theory channel, SciShow, they all have kind of a sound to them. All the channels that kind of spin out of
very
that.
over-enunciated, like pauses like this, and I'm gonna keep talking in that kind of vibe. It's very funny.
Yeah.
I actually have all of these visuals I used in the video. I have on my computer still, so I'm gonna upload those real quick.
Oh yeah, that would be cool.
Spam them out.
Yeah.
Concept9.pdn. Oh, I love the PDNs. Give me that PDN.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, you know what? I'm not even going to bother. I think that one's half done, so it's not even worth it. I'm not going to even try to
re-upload that. It's probably better to look at the chart on screen, but essentially it gives a brief overview of how neurotyping is different from MBTI first, some problems with MBTI, how it's as Beatrice said, how behavior is a symptom, and you shouldn't type people on that. You should type them on the cause. Do you not hang out with people because you are introverted, or do you not hang out with people because you have the wrong friends, or you haven't found people yet? If you have different causes, and MBTI would just go introverted, fuck it. Or maybe not. Like people who are actually proficient at typing this sort of thing, like actually probably could do it better. I don't know. I'm just gonna keep shitting on MBTI.
I don't know. It is just harder because, like, if you think about it, MBTI is 8-dimensional, but also it's like 8 functions. Yeah,
I thought it was 5.
4-dimensional.
No,
you have the.
Oh, there's technically 5 now. Yeah.
What I'm thinking is the 8 functions. You have a stack of functions, and it's a little. It's weird. We can't even agree on that. But neurotyping is 2 axes, and it's like 2 spectra. It's just 2 spectrums you can intuit. So it's like way easier and way more immediately powerful, I think.
From the video, I kind of disagree about the idea that indirectness is lateral. I think that's just something that B said, and like, because that was where the discourse was at the time, because it hadn't discoursed.
Yeah, that is the thing.
It wasn't discoursing through my veins yet.
The discourse had not discharged.
Yeah.
Like I know some fairly linear people who are pretty indirect.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been thinking, especially like pure instinct or clear-sighted types who would do a lot through like behavior and gesture and like general vibes, not saying things out loud, but intending for you to like, sort of pick them up. Like the like sort of social plays of especially clear-sighted or externalness would be very indirect, especially to autistic people.
Do you think linear? Do you think they're more straightforward in the sense that they like? I don't know. Actually, I don't know. I lost it. They like go straight to the idea. They like when they're trying to explain something, they just like someone said something earlier about pacing and a lateral person writing something with
I think this has the
big
same
and long,
cause.
right?
Yeah.
And linears are more straightforward in the fact that it's like, here's the thing. Okay, that's it. Goodbye.
I think they'd be better at doing it straightforwardly for the same reason as the pacing thing. It's just less to untangle.
Yeah.
It's already linear, it's not tangled. But yeah, I definitely think they can communicate obtusely. I don't think Trixie meant that they must always be straightforward.
Or I guess by indirect, I mean like trying to imply things or not commit to having said something necessarily. I'm thinking of a couple of people with very particular examples. So I'm having to like juggle those in my head, I guess. Yeah. And trying to apply it back to this, because it seems like on paper that should be what happens, is that linear people are more direct. And maybe that's true in aggregate, but I don't know, like these couple people are very indirect, mostly as a result of like emotional trauma, probably, of like being punished for being direct over and over again.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I said, I PI moment. I don't get it.
I feel like especially for women, there's sort of a social impetus to be like less direct, do more things through, leave more things just implied, be not completely to the point. I think that's sort of a quality that's trained out of women oftentimes.
It if it's not a gendered thing, then it skews in a gendered way.
Definitely not completely. Just that is a pattern that probably exists.
Yeah,
I think I sort of learned to be indirect because like I figured out, you know, what I would say, like the reactions I would get. So I would sort of, I don't know, either let people believe a certain conclusions or just not bring things up or whatever, because it's just easier.
I feel like your indirectness and your directness is somewhat linked to your agreeability and disagreeability. Like if you're a disagreeable person, you're a lot more likely to be direct and vice versa, you know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And even when I am being agreeable, as the firebrand with inner peace, it is only because I have a long practiced history of kicking over hornets' nest and pissing on them.
That sounds like a terrible idea.
Nice.
With my Neurotypes.
Yeah.
Neurotypes.
Yes.
That's the best misspelling in all of this. Neurotpyss.
Oh yeah, Reed, I want your thoughts on something.
You pee on those
in the first of the
diabetes.
videos, you...
Sorry, could you say that again, Oro?
Oh yeah, I just want your thoughts on something, or if you've changed your mind, I don't know. In the first of these videos, you talk about how when Trixie mentions that, oh yeah, taking a quiz for fucking MBTI takes too long, you can just think about this and you know what you are. And you make the point in the video that, well, that's not true because the videos are hours long. And the MBTI test takes 10 minutes. But I don't think that's fair. Because,
no, it's really not. I was just being an ass. Right. Like this.
The videos tell you what neurotyping is.
Yeah.
An MBTI test does you jack shit of good if you don't know what MBTI is, what the types mean. You still have to read up on that. So I think those are the equivalent.
I'm definitely not being fair. I mean, I'm not wrong, but I'm not being fair.
Yeah, that is also.
I cheated and won. So I mean,
hell yeah. Yeah, just wanted to clear that out.
Okay.
I don't know if you noticed, but anything that I did in gray, I was trying to like. This isn't like any of the circles that were gray are things that I didn't. Are things I'm just directly translating from the script, and anything in yellow is things I'm adding.
Gotcha.
So like the one that, like I tried doing this. The lexical ones are the ones that interest me the most because the visualization for them really, I don't know, they did something for me. Like this lexicality one with the two circles. Lexicality is your ability and need to codify ideas into symbols, or I think specific language is the direct quote for that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's like the original definition is that lexicality is the ability and need to translate ideas into a specific language. And I remember when I made that, I was like, how have we gone, like the neuro theory is so far from that. Like it's very removed from that because this idea is like a domino. Once you get this going, there's so many other things it like essentially affects, because if all your ideas are in specific language, then maybe you're more structured as a person. And then, you know, that's just one of the things, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I have to admit that I watched this second video in the 5 minutes while I was firing up my computer to join the podcast. So I did only watch it once at 2 1/4 speed.
It's all right. I didn't watch it either. I clicked through it and I was like, I made it, so I'm probably fine.
Yeah. It has a very good line, which is personality is a brand.
Yeah.
I kind of like, I really like that.
I love that, yeah.
Personality is your brand of behavior.
Tarbuck has a brand.
My personality is nothing but a brand.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I just pictured that. I just got that idea in my head, and I'm not going to be able to unthink it about Tarbuck now.
Firebrand with inner personality.
I'm brand all the way down.
We were you talked about jingles.
Rip one label off, there's another label.
Yep.
You keep going to no avail.
I am the firebrand with inner peace. And if you take that label off, underneath it, you'll find Russell Brand. Underneath that.
I am the brand within a brand.
I am brought to you by Kix. It's a great cereal. I recommend it.
And that label that you pull it off, look at it closer. It's a Brand-Aid.
Me.
Do we want to move on to Urcoy's next post?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Unless anyone
so-
has anything.
Okay,
good.
So,
Is this chart looping, guys?
yes.
It's one
Now-
chart looping.
I have to explain because the original chart looping post, I guess, got deleted or something. And that's why we haven't
There's
talked
no
about it.
backup of it anywhere.
Yeah.
At least I couldn't find any.
Oh,
So-
really? Oh,
Yeah.
that's sad.
So what the original post was, Novadet took the original chart and basically put copies of it like tiled outside of the chart. And the idea is you become so far to one side of the chart, you cross into another dimension and onto the other side.
So, like, a statistician would go over to technician.
That's why you hate
Technician.
Bestman.
Yeah. Like, analyst would go to level-headed and so on. Like, imagine this, but the arrows are actually straight and don't come back in some other place.
So I think the original one is just a meme, like just let's see where this goes. Some people have took the idea as having some merit to it.
Yeah.
Like one thing we came to was you are sort of unbalanced, so it's like just easier for you to do what your brain doesn't normally do than to like try to balance it.
Yeah.
So if you're very impressionistic, it's easier to just start being very lexical about things.
Yeah, right. It's harder to introduce some nuance and you'd go like, oh, need lexical all the fucking way immediately. And that would seem like you're just looping around the chart.
So we've had
instead of
like
traversing the middle.
2 people come to the conclusion. We had like EGAG and Magica, like your aesthetician technician and your new type human calculator.
I have a friend who referred to himself for a long time as a techno-aesthetician.
Oh boy.
Well, one of those refers to himself as an aesthetechnician.
I wonder. So this one, this is like not really thought out at all, if you can't tell by looking at this. But it started with Clear-Sighted and New Type having similar vibes, and this is mostly based off like people in the Discord, Milk in particular, being a Clear-Sighted. And I don't know, we had some similarities, I suppose. So I just took that idea and expanded it.
I've been going back and forth from the shop to my nearest hardware store for the past month and a half, trying to meet deadlines. So I haven't talked to another person outside of movie night and this podcast since that process started.
Bro,
So
are you okay?
Well, what I'm explaining is no. So I no longer have any intuition about the behaviors and thought patterns of other people.
That's unfortunate.
So basically, fuck circle of BS fuck.
There was nothing in the middle. So I just like, oh, whatever. I'll just make this a circle or something.
Do you think that's the direction that the circle goes, or is it like crosswise?
I don't think it matters because it's a fake circle that he just made up and pulled out of his ass.
Yeah, but we often make up bullshit on this show that turns out to be true.
Yeah, that's true.
It follows the same flow that Timecake had, so I guess there's that.
Okay. I mean,
It's also vaguely egg-shaped.
It's vaguely egg-shaped, yes. I do kind of lean a little bit over towards quick-witted, so there's that.
Okay.
I'm on that border.
Honestly, my favorite part of this post is just the comments. They're
Oh God, I always
So
forget about the
good.
comments.
yeah, my favorite one is from Light Ronin or whatever. What in the cinnamon toast fuck is this?
That's a good one. I remember that. That's a classic.
Yep. Everyone's confused. I don't feel like people should be as confused as they are. Like, people are confused about what the types are and stuff. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Have you not
been paying
seen the
attention to
chart?
this fucking
Yeah.
sub?
Well, it doesn't make sense because you have an arrow from bookkeeper to new type and human calculator to pure instinct is the only thing that makes sense to me on a base level. Everything else is like, why is technician going to an impressionist and not like to a statistician?
That's a good point.
It's not linear enough. This is
right.
too
That's
many
the point
extra
of
steps.
This one is shifted.
It's like staggered weirdly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people are like, why is it staggered?
Yeah.
Please
First
explain.
of all, I do think the idea of chart looping has merit. Mostly it's just, okay, people have two different heat point maps, two different heat points on two different sides of the chart. They're not going around. They just have two heat map points, dude.
Is this something that happens in all people, or just edge types, or just like some edge types?
Yeah, like some edge types. I even think it's pretty rare that someone would have one heat point on the completely opposite side of the neural chart to the other. Mm-hmm. But that would then appear as though they were somehow looping around.
Like a new keeper.
Yeah, like a new keeper.
Or a book type.
Yeah, so I think that has nothing to do with chart looping. I think I'm gonna go into the complete other extreme because I can't do nuance. I'm only used to one extreme. So I have to do essentially a caricature, flanderization of the other type. Mm-hmm. That also happens. Also not chart looping. I think, hypothetically, linear to lateral chart looping is possible, but impressionist to lexical isn't. Because with my perception of the two as laterality is conceiving of things as ever smaller sort of interacting atoms fizzing about, and linear is looking at the rock, the whole thing that still comprises those, but it's like a conceptual difference how you look at stuff. The swarm versus the birds in the swarm, essentially. And I think you can zoom so far out that it's just no information anymore, just blackness. And you can zoom so far in that's no information anymore, just blackness. And once you've reached that point, you can go in either direction. And that is actual proper chart looping. I don't think anyone's ever done that, but it's hypothetically possible under my perception of it.
Okay. I guess if I had to think of one for lexical impressionist, it's sort of like the Earth's core or something. Like it's lava and it like becomes more and more compressed.
Yeah, it's that thing where you see a camera and it zooms all the way out to the level of the galaxies, and then of like galaxy clusters, and then it zooms farther out and reveals the shape of an eye because they are self-similar, with different patterns. Obviously, just video editing. But imagine that.
Yeah.
You zoom so far out that you're at the small scale again.
I feel like it is easier to switch your scale with the lateral to linear to laterality, because it's either like turn your brain. I feel like you either just have to turn your brain off or like turn your brain on. If like it feels like that.
Think hard, think
changing
soft.
From lexicality to impressionism is like, all right, now switch up how you codify reality, and it's like, hold up. What did you just say?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That does seem
Though
harder.
I do feel like I chart loop to bookkeeper, and but that's like I even go even more linear than I ever have, and I'm just copying data at that point.
Wait. If you go linear enough, it's like remember Tarbuck's weird image with the like glass holes or something? But
yes.
It's like a circle.
Yeah.
So if you go down, it like forces you along the bottom edge of the chart. So you loop around to bookkeeper.
The more linear you go, we're talking about the cone one, not the glasses one, right?
Oh,
I am talking about the glasses one.
We are talking about the glasses one.
Yeah, I guess with any axis, like if you go really hard in any axis. Actually, this is pretty much my impinch vlog, where like you go really hard in one direction and like the other axis like collapses in on itself and doesn't matter anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think in any direction.
I see what you're saying. Like at some point, if you go so hard on one of the axes, it's like the other doesn't even matter at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Probably not bookkeeper then at that moment. I'm probably just brain off mode activated.
Base headed.
Sir, we have switched off the brain. We are a go.
All right. I feel like I understand chart looping better now.
Last post?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
This chart is true, and that's why Oro is my favorite human calculator.
No, oh, it burns.
Oh. Excellent.
All right.
Do we want to move on to Revolutionary Tommy Dry?
What is this one?
Revolutionary Tommy J, my own theory of autism, featuring 3 distinct strains.
I like how this looks like a legitimate news article or paper.
Yeah, this has, again, like barely anything to do with neurotyping, or maybe you disagree. It doesn't mention neurotyping in the article, I think. So it says, okay, there are 3 types of autism, and it's OCD, like organizing things, having to clean, like compulsions. It's type B, which is ADHD. First OCD is type A. Type B is ADHD, just drawing weird connections. It sort of sounds like lateral impressionism from the distinct description they give of it. And type C is chain otakus.
Huh.
Type C is just type C is databasing. As as Beatrice would call it.
Yeah.
I have this set of things. I want to know everything about it, all the connections between it. Blah.
What I've learned from this article is that everything is an autism. Type D is depression autism. Type E is schizophrautism. Type F is fugue state autism. Type G is generalized anxiety autism. Feeling motivated today? That's autism. Are you hungry? That's also autism. What is laughter if not stimming?
Yes.
Oh, man.
That was stimming just now.
You laugh, but I agree. The way we use the word autism, literally everything, every completely normal behavior, everything is autism.
Yep. Autism, more like altism.
Hey-o.
It's tisms all the way down.
Autism just means you do anything or care about anything, or what you have any kind of dissimilarity from me that I perceive as odd. That's an autism.
Yeah. Socialism is when the government does stuff, and autism is when people are different than me.
Socialism is when the government is autistic.
And if it does a lot of stuff,
it's
what is it? I don't know.
Yeah, remember when
mega
Beatrice
autism?
wanted... Yeah, you're right. Remember when Beatrice was obsessed with like city planning and building cities in which artists could thrive? That's the autistic socialism.
Yep.
I was not aware of this chapter, but it's very...
You are now.
I love the title of this chapter you've just described to me, and I will never read it. I will just embellish it in my mind what Beatrice could have been doing then.
Yeah.
Oh, she designed San Francisco. That's a city, right? Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
She was talking about turning herself into a generation ship at one point. It was an odyssey.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I like that.
I thought you were gonna say something about turning into a pickle, and I was kind of depressed immediately. I was like, oh, we're gonna go there, Tarbuck. That's you ruined this day for me.
It's the low hanging pickle.
That is that you.
If you're still listening to this podcast, why?
Urcoy, you did not just say that.
You motherfucker.
I did.
The low hanging pickle. Pickles don't even grow on things.
Yes, they do. They grow in a jar.
They don't grow unassisted.
Oh.
Autism truly is a pickle.
If you just leave a jar out, a pickle will appear in it. That's how pickles auto-generate. They don't grow on things.
Just imagining Beatrice going, I turned myself into a pickle. Oh, God. It's not good.
Excellent.
I think is that all we have to say?
I think that's all we have to say about autism.
Okay, I'm just scrolling down and seeing that SimCity is type A autism, Death Note is type B autism, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is type C. The Digi career to that date was B and C. I think she's just B, am I right?
Must also be
boy.
A if SimCity is A and she was into city planning. I mean,
and since we know there's also more autism, we know she's on that E. We know she's on the E.
Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent. Kanye West, also an A.
They like articulate these different autisms, and then they're like, okay, guys, now here's some people and their autism, and it's like just like normal people, like I mean, like they're not normal, but
very
these, like,
normal people.
I mean, they're not normal, but it's like, are these are like Tom Oliver? Oh, I thought this said John Oliver. I'm like, I don't think John Oliver is autistic at any level.
If you scroll further down, you see Quentin Tarantino, Elon Musk, Kanye West, Donald Trump, Stanley Kubrick, George Martin, and computer programming. So
I feel like these aren't like normal, but they're not autistic.
Why does it say Donald Trump and none?
No, look down. Is researchers are all type B autistic. Hobbyists are all type C autistic.
Of course.
The workaholic is the type A. A and B is human computer. B and C is mad scientist. A and C is the auteur. Scroll up. Is that consistent? No. Quentin Tarantino is only type C, apparently. Who's an A and C? Stanley Kubrick. Okay. Who else? Is there another A and C on here? Best guy ever.
Best guy ever. Yes.
Best guy ever and Stanley Kubrick. Okay, that actually works better than I thought. Okay.
Yeah, it does.
That's unfortunate. Sorry, bestie boy. This will be the only time I ever apologize to you. Don't get mostly because I don't plan on doing things that would warrant an apology to best guy ever, because I don't really plan on interacting with him other than fixing his belt. #belt saga. That will make perfect sense to you if you were up on your Tarbuck lore. Which tisms do you have?
If not, re-watch Plants Made of Crystal and Plasma.
I don't. When I read this, I was like, "Oh, I'm AC." I don't remember what those were from the descriptions.
You're a workaholic hobbyist.
Let's see if I just scroll up far enough. A is a learned perfectionism.
Mm-hmm.
C is Beyblades. Okay, cool.
Yeah. That makes sense to me, yeah.
Collectableness.
If I'm anything, I'm C. But
C.
I am MT for fugue state.
Beyblades made sense because I could just insert Bionicles.
True. Yeah, Bionicles was actually listed in there.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, I could have sworn Lego I could have sworn I got a Control F Bionicle.
Yeah, no, it does say Bionicles.
Yeah, Bionicles
with the Lego.
Where?
Yeah.
Control F Bion.
Yeah. Lego, Transformers, Bakugan.
Like the page in the Lego catalog with all the new Bionicles on it.
Type C. Yeah, Bionicles are Type C, apparently.
That hits me right there.
JoJo is synonymous with Bionicle.
Before time.
I mean, I watched the lecture.
Kudo was free to unleash his shadow guardians, and unleash him he did.
Okay. I'm tapped.
Yeah, same.
Sync claps.
Yeah, baby.
Wait, do you want to plug anything?
Oh, yeah.
No.
Oh, you know what? You know what I forgot? I forgot to plug my Instagram. I should plug that. It's pretty neat. Yeah, check that out.
Will be added to the video description.
If you want to check out my YouTube channel, look in the description. That's all I'll say.
I have 1,000 YouTube channels. I have every YouTube channel. I'm actually every YouTuber.
Oh.
I am every woman.
That makes sense.
I am every woman.
I've recently written some articles for the Denver Cultural Research Society, dcrs.xyz, Google dcrs.xyz, where also previous guest on the show, Dotsmite, is writing a very cool short story called The Horns, which you should totally read. It's very good. There's 3 chapters out. I'm plugging that, and the website in general. There's some very cool writing by her, me, and other people on there.
Is Plunder involved in that? I haven't talked to her in a while.
I don't know. None of it is credited.
Okay.
Well, some of the music on there is credited, but that isn't like Plunder. At least we haven't contributed anything yet. But yeah, there's also music on there, not just writing. There's art and music and writing on there. It's very cool. It's a very cool online art collective.
Yeah.
DCRS.xyz.
Yeah.
In the show notes.
If I'm going to plug only one thing, it's probably going to be the Arch Plays, the podcast where Not a Vampire and I, who left a comment in that we discussed in this episode, we talk about stuff. And we play video game footage over it that is largely unrelated to our conversation. It's like a Let's Drown Out or Vic and Hope. The tenuous connection to Vic and Hope is also why I crack cans into the microphone all the time. By the way, watch Vic and Hope. They're great. I think they still haven't, like, neither of them has seen a single episode of this show when I can shout them out every single episode.
Oh no.
Vamp has also never seen an episode of this show.
I've never seen an episode of this show.
I don't blame
times.
If I was going to recommend one, it would probably be the previous episode, and if it's not that, then Plants of Plasma and Crystal. Is that what we called it?
Plants of Crystal and Plasma, I think is the other one.
Yeah, that's the one where we do the, like, it's our yellow episode.
Yeah, right. It's the one with the mini vlogs.
All right, that does it for me.
Whenever we don't suck, we do like a pretty decent podcast.
Yeah.
The key to being good is don't be bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.